My name's Michael, and you're watching MDA. Yo, you're making me crazy, man, with how good your photography skills are. Alright, how's it going, everybody? Mike here. Pretty much the weather wasn't as beautiful as we thought. Nonetheless, we're still gonna get a nice little interview for you. Before we start off this entire episode though, is there anything you want the people to know about you?
I'm about to go crazy at Rolling Loud, get those flicks, get that content. Got my man right here capturing everything.
Yes, very excited. Let's get right into it, guys. What are we looking at?
That's what we got to do.
Wait, so explain like what the situation is here at Rolling Loud. Like, why are you here? How are you here?
Yeah, so I'm shooting on behalf of an outlet. My guy Justin, Baby Talks Music, shout out. Covering Rolling Loud officially. My first time out in LA. First time formally shooting Rolling Loud. Met before, but I haven't formally shot. So
what got you into concert photography, and how has that passion evolved over time?
So I think it really started around 2017 when I was in high school, coming close to graduating high school, and I'd always been super into creative arts, music especially, and was always like fueled by that, but didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. And it kind of just coincides with when I first started going to concerts, and I just sort of immediately had this passion for raw live experiences, feeling that energy, seeing an artist's vision kind of come together on stage live in person is like really cool to me, and like seeing the way they kind of cultivate that vibe and want people to immerse themselves in their world. Flash forward to around post-pandemic era, I start bringing a little point and shoot camera with me to some of these shows, and I end up cooking up some crazy content. Some people wouldn't have even believed that I shot some of these on a little point and shoot camera. So I kept running with that for about a year. That miraculously lands me with a publication, getting photo passes, now down this crazy path of working with artists directly, working with labels, working with venues, being all over the place. It's like I could go on all day about it, but the way it kind of came together is still pretty surreal to me, and it's really cool seeing how it keeps evolving every single day.
What was the first concert that you went to that was like kind of unofficial? It was just the first one that you were shooting?
Yeah. The first concert I ever went to was Green Day with my dad in 2017, and that was like my favorite band growing up, so that was like a really cool full circle moment. That was at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Crazy way to just be thrown into the world of concerts and live experiences. I absolutely loved it. And I think the first show I ever had a photo pass for was Bryson Tiller. Was surreal. That was actually Montclair, Wellmont.
Oh, the Wellmont?
So being able to do that in my home state was really cool. And I mean, that's just a legend of R&B right there. So you can't beat that. It was a surreal experience.
Can you share a particular memorable shoot and what made it special?
My most memorable shoot has to be my biggest shoot, which was Tyler the Creator's pop-up show from Chromacopia on the pier in Brooklyn. It was a $5 show, announced 3 hours before it started. People copped tickets, they showed up, and that was it. I pulled up my camera, I started cooking up content. Pictures go viral, they're crazy. I put some of the craziest edits I've ever done together, and I mean, it's all history from there. That post is like doing numbers still to this day, and people always come up to me and are like, yo, I know that shot, I know that. It's really crazy to see.
Where is some of your work being displayed right now?
All over. I mean, I collab with the guys at Respected Collective for that post. Shout out to them. They're gonna be running shit at Rolling Loud this weekend too. It's really cool to see, but there's a lot of pages where you can see my stuff everywhere. I can't really like pinpoint many specifically because it's just like...
Just look it up on ChatGPT, right?
Go on ChatGPT and look it up, or just go to my tagged on IG. It's just crazy when I meet people and they know my shots. I don't even know them. It's photo famous, like not even like on some ego shit, but like I just think it's really cool, like connecting with people that way.
Sure. How do you manage the stress of capturing fleeting moments and chaotic environments?
Yeah, so I mean, I got my like Aura ring on right now. You look at my stats when I'm at the shows, like stress, like crazy. You can tell like in these moments, I'm stressed, but in a good way, because I want to get the best shot. I want to get the best content. I want to really stand out and be bold with it. So it's all about getting as much as you can, making the most of it as you can with the edits, and really just thinking outside the box.
There's this concept known as the flow state. Do you feel like in these high pressure situations you enter a state like that?
I think absolutely. I mean, I'm very much so a high anxiety person. Outside of the things I enjoy, I'm always kind of like stressing about something, freaking out about something. So when it applies to something I actually am passionate about, it's kind of like benefiting me in a way, because I'm used to having anxiety and having to like work under pressure. So when it applies to something that I enjoy, I definitely do enter that kind of flow state, and it's really cool.
Now, let's talk about blending in. So typically at smaller venues, you're not really allowed to be in front of everybody. So how do you manage to get great shots while staying out the way?
It's really just about being in the middle of it, kind of finding ways to get yourself up front without like ruining people's experience. That's like definitely something that I deal with at like small venues like Gramercy Theater or Music Hall Williamsburg, these really small condensed places. It's interesting because certain venues you have that photo pit you can shoot from, and some venues you don't. It's a matter of being there early and finding a good spot, but also having the right lens to go crazy and capture those crazy detail shots no matter where you are.
Actually, that leads us into the next thing, which is gear choices. How do you decide what equipment to bring, and how does it affect your approach?
My go-to is always my A7 IV. I think it's like the best concert photography camera purely because of how snappy that autofocus is. If you're a camera nerd, you know what I'm talking about. Can't really beat it, and I found what works for me, so I kind of stick to it. So I'd say for any other creatives, I wouldn't necessarily buy what people say is the best camera. I mean, in my opinion, that's the best camera, but it's very expensive. So find what works for you, run with it, and then build from there. I started on a camera that was $200. I mean, you could start with anything and build up your portfolio to whatever you need to do.
But you really do a lot of post-processing work. That's where a lot of the magic's done, is what you're known for. So just tell us a little bit about the thought process behind that.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of my shots have become pretty experimental in the sense of using things like composites and multiple layers in Photoshop. So I definitely want to establish like a lot of silhouette shots that I can kind of superimpose over, but also things that can kind of work as like close-ups, crowd shots. Just getting every angle I could possibly get is super helpful for the post-processing thing, just because I know I at least got every single thing I could possibly get, and I can make the most of it.
You're doing everything in what, Photoshop? Like, what are the softwares
Photoshop,
you use?
Lightroom. I mean, in terms of tweaking the basics, everything's in Lightroom, but then I pull that into Photoshop and I could really go a little crazy with it.
So walk us through like that workflow. What does that workflow look like from the moment you leave the venue? Because you literally edit same day, I've noticed.
So yeah, I mean, I'm pulling up my photos in Bridge. I'm 5-starring the ones I like. That's kind of my usable content. I'm going through thousands of pictures. I really am like an overshooter in the sense that I like to have a little bit of everything. From there, I kind of tweak what do I want to be a clean shot that is just super sharp, bold, and clean. And then what do I want to be like a crazy shot in terms of like composites, gradient maps, textures, mixed media, whatever. So I kind of group them into 2 different categories, not even like physically, but just like in my head. And I kind of just build from there and I go crazy with it.
Okay, I have a kind of different question for you. How do you think that the way that you shoot and like the content that you make changes the experience for other people?
So I've talked about it in a couple interviews in the past, wanting to like capture the essence of an artist's vibe in the world that they want to create. Like, I think the best example of this would be artists like Tizo and Tyler. Tyler has this whole chromacopia era and like very visual, distinct eras. Every time he drops an album, he has the mask, he's got the crazy hair, and that was something I really wanted to go crazy with and make this bold kind of like horror poster vibe shot, just like the shot of his eyes staring into the camera. Tizo has like the nails he puts in his hair, he's got the sticky note thing he does, so just really kind of like honing in on things that make an artist distinct and kind of tying that into what I can do with it creatively and take my vision and apply it to that.
That leads us into just advice for newbies. What advice would you give to any aspiring, you know, concert photographers?
Yeah. In terms of being a concert photographer, it's super intimidating at first because you'll go to these shows, you'll see these people in this photo pit, you're like, how do I do that? I had the same question, the same idea. I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that. And come to find out, if you apply yourself enough, if you think outside the box enough, you find ways to get little cameras into the building and make it your own with edits. Anything is possible. You just got to be consistent and you got to put yourself out there.
You think the photo, the shot itself, or the way that you edit it is more important?
It's a little bit of both, because obviously you need a clean shot that works. The editing is really what's going to make you stand out as a creative. I say literally pull inspiration from all sorts of media, all things that inspire you, whether it be film, TV, whatever, and just kind of mesh it all together into this crazy world that's all yours.
What's one thing that you wish you knew before you started?
Don't come into this thinking you're going to make a lot of money at first, because you won't. It's more of a passion thing for a lot of people. But if you come into this with the right mindset, the right ability to network, you can work with artist teams, you can work with venues, and you can find ways to make it work. But don't come into this thinking I'm going to be a millionaire off concert photography. It's just something that's a passion, and if you're truly passionate, that's when the money comes.
What's one little business tip that you could give someone that maybe has been doing it for a little bit but wants to start, you know, carving that out for themselves?
I say it's easier if you're in a place like New York or LA, because there's a lot of networking events that pop up all the time. So go to these networking events, talk to these people, let them know what you can offer, show them your portfolio, and from there you kind of build up a network, and then people have a project. They say, oh, I met this guy, his portfolio is crazy. they'll hit you up and they'll hire you. You got to put yourself out there.
What tips can you give someone for portfolio building?
Build the most stunning work you can, put it on a website, don't make it too complicated. That's what I do. You go to my website, it's a bunch of shots. The shots speak for themselves. Let your work speak for itself. Let your work be unique, let it be special, and everything will come together from there.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Do what you do, inspire people, be good to people, spread good energy in this space. There could be a lot of people trying to bring you down, weigh you down, and I'm not here for that. I'm here to spread good vibes, create cool shit, and just make a positive impact. So live by that and you'll go places.